Next time on Nation's Dumbest.
Let's go.
Keep going. Go, stop.
Where's Carmen? Just give me the trophy now.
What happened?
Just give me everything I'm awful at. Let's go.
I hope she's okay.
I'm gonna nominate Ice.
He has tried to do me dirty.
Am I starting a rivalry?
I'm smarter than you think.
Hello, Ice. I see you.
A pizza place hides a secret Gordon can't stomach. Kitchen Nightmares, only Tuesday on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. First tonight, we do have some breaking news to tell you about out of Washington County. According to the Machias Valley News Observer, a court proceeding seeking a restraining order that would have prohibited county commissioners from firing County Manager Renee Gray has been canceled. That proceeding was scheduled for 1 p.m. on Thursday in Washington County Superior Court in Machias, but it's now been moved to U.S. Federal District Court in Bangor. We'll bring you any further updates on that situation as they become available. Also tonight, a man has been arrested in connection with a fire in Harrington earlier this month that authorities say was intentionally set. 75-year-old Arthur Langley is being charged with arson and reckless conduct. The fire at 1230 Main Street was initially reported to have been caused by an outdoor burn that spread to the house. Major Aaron Turcotte with the Maine Department of Public Safety says an investigation determined the fire, however, was not accidental. Langley was arrested Tuesday and taken to the Washington County Jail. The investigation there is ongoing. A teenager was seriously injured in a fire in Searsport. Authorities are issuing important safety reminders. Major Aaron Turcotte says they are investigating that fire, which happened yesterday at 33 Prospect Street. Turcotte says their investigation determined the victim was upstairs when she heard the home's smoke alarm activate. He says she came downstairs and found the kitchen filled with smoke and a pot of cooking oil burning on the stove. In an attempt to put out the fire, she tried to move the pot to the sink, but as she carried the burning oil, it flared up, causing severe burns and prompting her to drop the pot. The victim was initially transported to Waldo County General Hospital and then transferred to Maine Medical Center. He says she sustained burns covering 30% of her body, primarily on her legs and torso. Minimal damage was done to the home. The fire marshal's office is reminding folks to never use water to put out a grease fire, as it can cause the burning oil to explode outward. They also say never move a burning pan, but rather cover it with a lid or baking sheet and turn off the heat. They say if the fire cannot be controlled, you should just get out of the building and call 911. Well, the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office is investigating an armed robbery this morning. Chief Deputy Chris Reed says deputies responded to the Bartlett Road in Belgrade a little before 7 a.m. for a report of an armed robbery at a marijuana growing operation. He says deputies were able to determine 3 men had entered the residence, tied the couple's hands at gunpoint, and proceeded to steal all of the marijuana and an undisclosed amount of cash. According to Reed, the victims were not hurt, but the suspects were there for over 3 hours, and one of the suspects pointed a gun at them while they were being tied up. Reed says it is a legal marijuana growing operation, and the Office of Marijuana Policy has been notified. He also says detectives are following up on leads. Well, drive sober or expect to get pulled over in Ellsworth this weekend, as multiple departments will be joining together for OUI enforcement. It's a collaborative effort between the Ellsworth PD and several other local departments who will be heading out to Ellsworth to help out. The department wants to make it known that even if you get pulled over by an out-of-jurisdiction officer, it's still legitimate. They also advise folks to make sure they're not driving under the influence of alcohol or any other impairing substance, including marijuana, narcotics, and prescription medication.
We just wanted to put the word out that we're going to be out there as part of the Bureau of Highway Safety National Campaign as well. But we also wanted to, just let other people know that if you do get stopped by a Bar Harbor or a Southwest Harbor officer in Ellsworth this weekend, it's completely legitimate, and they're helping us out with this detail.
Well, whether you're in Hancock County or not this weekend, a reminder that driving sober keeps everyone safer. The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office has acquired special kits that can help police identify a missing child. They are called Child ID kits. They're special kits that parents or guardians can complete with information about their child and have it ready to go in the event a child goes missing or some other emergency arises. The kits, once completed, contain the child's basic information, current photo, and even have a place for a fingerprint. Once completed, the kit can be stored in your home, ready for use if it is needed. It does not go into a database. Sheriff Morton says when a crisis hits, oftentimes parents are so upset and stressed that it can be more difficult to remember important information about their child or have certain needed items ready to go. That delay can be detrimental.
Time is critical. If we're able to show up at a home and this be handed over to law enforcement so they could start with this information immediately, it will have a great impact, or potentially a great impact, on making sure that a child is returned home safely.
Well, the kits are free and available throughout Penobscot County. Sheriff Morton says he'll be working with law enforcement agencies throughout the region to distribute those kits. Well, switching gears, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer met with Maine Democratic Senate candidate Troy Jackson today. Our Callie Warren joins us now live in studio with the details on the meeting, in which both individuals say they're working together. Callie.
Well, Beth, as you said, Schumer and Jackson met Wednesday morning and seem to have had a productive conversation regarding their goal to take back control of the Senate. We don't know too many details about the exact conversation or what they talked about, but Senator Schumer held a press conference today taking a question about that interaction with Jackson. He says that they're working together for that common goal.
We had a great meeting this morning. We're going to be working together to win the seat, beat Susan Collins, and take back the Senate.
Troy Jackson's campaign released a statement echoing Senator Schumer's remarks, saying, quote, Troy and Leader Schumer had a great meeting where they discussed working together to beat Susan Collins. They agreed that Collins' support for Trump and his policies is bad for Mainers and that she should be defeated, end quote. Well, a little over 13 weeks left till Election Day, and despite Jackson's late start as the Democrat pick, it appears Senate leaders are showing him some support. Beth, back to you.
Thank you, Callie. Meanwhile, members of the Maine legislature are demanding accountability and reform in the wake of the fatal shooting in Biddeford. In a letter written to the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, they expressed horror over the shooting of Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero by ICE officers. It said in part, quote, the reckless behavior of ICE agents and the subsequent consequences of their actions are not just endangering our neighbors and communities, they are eroding confidence in law enforcement at all levels. This does not serve to make any Mainer or American safer. It only sows fear and terror among good, hardworking people. The letter went on to say, quote, let us be clear, this demand for reform and accountability is not at odds with our support for removing dangerous convicted criminals from our communities. We demand that such actions taken with that goal in mind be conducted with due process and constitutional protections this nation's laws guarantee, end quote. Well, it has been 90 days since the second regular session of the 132nd legislature wrapped up. Per Maine statute, laws passed during that session are now scheduled to go into effect. Our Alex Schley has more on what Mainers can expect.
Wednesday, dozens of Maine laws take effect, including those signed by Governor Janet Mills, as well as several that became law without her signature. Many of the changes stem from the supplemental budget, approved by lawmakers in April, despite being strongly contested by Republicans. Some of the most noteworthy changes include making Maine community colleges free permanently to residents, requiring public schools to adopt policies restricting student cell phone use, extending the Maine Affordable Housing Tax Credit, and making the administration's child care affordability program permanent. The new laws also authorize a one-time $300 relief payment for eligible Mainers, while imposing a 2% surtax on those who make more than $1 million. A series of immigration-related laws will also take effect, addressing agencies' compliance with federal immigration and customs enforcement. ICE policing creates a clear separation between state and local law enforcement and federal immigration laws and agents, barring the assistance of Maine officials in federal investigations and banning the use of Maine jails to be used to house federal civil immigration detainees. The ICE out of schools and healthcare creates protection for certain non-public areas of schools, healthcare facilities, and other non-covered locations, restricting access to federal immigration officers without the appropriate legal authority, and limiting the release of certain personal information. Lastly, ICE out of our homes laws prohibit landlords from sharing certain tenant information, including immigration status, with federal immigration authorities without a judicial warrant or other legal requirement, and bars retaliation based on that information. Other notable laws taking effect include funding for the state's first youth psychiatric residential facility, extending death benefits for certain Maine Department of Transportation employees, and creating the Office of the Child Advocate. While some of these changes will have an immediate impact, others will be phased in over the coming months. For a complete look at the new laws and how they could affect you, go to our website, foxbangor.com. Alex Schley reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Senate President Maddie Daughtry also sponsored a bill that became law and is going into effect today. That new law increases access to vital vaccines. It strengthens accessibility to critical vaccinations and establishes a process for the Maine Vaccine Board to seek funding through the state in times of financial crisis. This would ensure continued access if federal financial support is disrupted. Additionally, it protects pharmacists from malpractice liability and ensures protection to continue vaccine availability. Daughtry released a statement saying in part, quote, evidence-based accessible vaccines are an absolute necessity for Maine's public health. Access to vaccinations allows people to live their lives freely with protection, peace of mind, and in many cases, life-saving care, end quote. Daughtry adds that this law reflects the legislature's commitment to public health protection. In other news tonight, researchers at the University of Maine in Orono are developing groundbreaking technology that aims to help meet the demand and interest in nuclear energy. Our Grace Blanchard explains.
This sensor technology is very cutting edge.
Scientists nationwide are trying to turn nuclear fusion into a real energy option. These small sensors developed by University of Maine researchers could be a big part in making that happen.
This is a great opportunity for the university to play a critical role in the full development of fusion energy as a viable form of energy production.
Nuclear fusion technology has the potential to generate 4 times as much energy as existing nuclear fission reactors. But experts are still searching for technology that can monitor and withstand the extreme heat and radiation damage it creates.
There are no commercial products right now that can satisfy the most demanding needs that these energy production facilities are required to have.
A new project at UMaine aims to change that.
The major goal of this project is to actually develop sensors that, as I told you, do not exist to monitor the process of fusion energy.
Researchers at UMaine have already been developing sensors capable of measuring and withstanding harsh environments, which they intend to use as a model.
This is a major contribution, right, that we have been doing consistently throughout the decades, but this particular one is an opportunity and a major contribution to our state and to our country.
Funded by Helion Energy, this groundbreaking effort gives students a unique hands-on experience while helping address the nation's growing demand for clean energy and power.
These sensors really are an enabler to a lot of these cutting-edge energy production systems to really becoming a reality.
In Orono, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, folks, let's pause now and get a first check of our forecast.
Well, temperatures out there today, upper 60s and low to mid 70s across the entire state. It was very nice out there. However, a bit cooler than yesterday. Now tomorrow, it's going to be even cooler. We are looking at temperatures in the low 70s, which means much of the day will be spent in the 60s. Taking a look at radar, lots of cloud cover, especially in the northern portion of the state. However, we do have some rain showers and thunderstorms starting to make their way into the state, and those will continue to make their way into the state throughout the night tonight. This is around the midnight, 1 o'clock hours and beyond. We're going to see chances for showers and thunderstorms through much of the day tomorrow, becoming more scattered in the afternoon hours before moving out of the area on Friday. For tonight, showers and thunderstorms making their way through, some dense fog also possible with temperatures in the low to mid 60s.
Thank you, Anna. Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, we'll have more of your local news, including what authorities are saying was the illegal killing of a deer. Stay with us.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
Honey, where's the countertop?
I sent it out to the granite shop this morning to be replaced.
Wow.
The quickest turnaround in the business, the Granite Shop in Sedgwick.
Susan Collins broke her promise to protect Roe v. Wade. When Donald Trump called, she cast the deciding vote for his Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. And she voted to put more than 100 Trump judges on the bench. States are banning abortion without exceptions, and women are dying. But Susan Collins says,
I do not regret that vote.
Tell Susan Collins to stop breaking her word. Stop voting for Trump's anti-choice judges.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Game wardens are investigating the illegal killing of a deer in Mercer. The Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says the incident occurred on the West Sandy River Road in Mercer, located between Skowhegan and Farmington. They say a concerned citizen found the body of a doe in a nearby apple orchard. Wardens determined she was likely shot between 11 o'clock and 11:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 26th. Maine Operation Game Thief is offering $2,000 for information leading to the arrest and/or conviction of those responsible. You can file a report online at maineogt.org or by calling 1-800-ALERT-US. The Maine CDC is reminding Mainers and visitors here to take steps to avoid contact with bats. They say while bats play an important role in nature, they can also carry rabies. The warning comes after multiple bats in Maine have tested positive for rabies. Now, that disease is serious and it can affect people, pets, and livestock. The CDC says without timely prevention, it is almost always fatal. Rabies spreads through the bite or scratch of an infected animal. They say people should avoid touching wildlife or animals they do not know. As of July 17th, 5 bats in Maine have tested positive for rabies. And coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, we'll have your national headlines.
Why go downtown when you can get out of town? Find your unlimits in the Kia Sorento Turbo Hybrid. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months or $3,000 customer cash on the purchase of a new 2026 Sorento.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. Call the twos. We win for you.
When outdoors, some people like it hot and some people like it cold. However, when indoors, most people like it comfortably warm. Consider a Rinnai direct vent wall furnace from McCusick Petroleum Company to provide you with comfortable and efficient heat. They also offer sales and service on many brands of furnaces, boilers, and water heaters. McCusick Petroleum Company delivers oil and LP gas to homes and businesses throughout the Pequot region. If you'd like more information on pricing or service, call or stop by our office in Dover Foxcroft.
This summer, the pages come alive at the Newport Riverwalk Festival. This year's theme is books, so bring your imagination to life inspired by your favorite stories. Decorate your bike or parade float around your favorite book characters and worlds. Think you got talent? Step into the spotlight during the talent show for your chance to win a cash prize. Enjoy music, food, and activities for all ages at Newport's favorite summer tradition, the Newport Riverwalk Festival, where creativity and community come together.
We're ready for baseball.
And off we go.
Oh my goodness! Absolute madness!
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Stay in the state of connection. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months or 750 customer cash in the purchase of a new 2026 Sportage.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
The man who was the face of the government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic refused to answer questions from a Senate panel today. Dr. Anthony Fauci exercised his Fifth Amendment right dozens of times on the advice of his counsel. Fox's chief congressional correspondent Chad Pergram has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Homeland Security Committee Chairman Rand Paul summoned Dr. Anthony Fauci to testify under subpoena. It got personal between the men from the start.
That loss of trust may be your most damaging legacy.
Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion.
Fauci then refused to answer questions, leaning on the same refrain 111 times.
On the advice of counsel, respectfully decline to answer upon my
rights of the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Fauci didn't answer when asked about his diary, what ignited the pandemic, or even the mundane.
What day of the week is it today? What color tie are you wearing? What color's the carpet?
His defiance exasperated Republicans, already livid about Fauci's lockdown and mask policies.
Who the f*** do you think you were for doing that?
Democrats saluted Fauci.
Thank you to you for your service to this nation.
Fauci's attorney David Schertler tried to speak on behalf of his client. After multiple warnings that he wasn't recognized, Paul threw him out.
And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered. For a lawyer not listening to the rules. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
Former President Biden granted Fauci a preemptive pardon. Democrats say Fauci was right to invoke the Fifth.
This show trial is a perjury trial for criminal prosecution going forward.
Paul plans a committee vote to hold Fauci in contempt of Congress next week.
There will be repercussions to your refusal to testify today.
When he left, Fauci was as mum in the hall as he was in the hearing. Dr. Fauci, what do you think about being held in contempt of Congress? A contempt of Congress citation would refer Fauci to the Justice Department for prosecution. But it takes 60 votes to break a filibuster. That means this is going nowhere. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Day 3 of the murder trial of a Massachusetts woman named Lindsay Clancy. Her defense team not disputing that she killed her own children, but arguing she was suffering from a condition known as postpartum psychosis. Fox's Caroline Elliott has the story.
The murder trial of Lindsay Clancy taking an emotional turn in court on Wednesday as the jury heard the frantic 911 call for the first time.
We would ask that the 911 call be played.
The judge ordered the media to not record the 7-minute call when Patrick Clancy found their 3 children dead in the basement of their home. Lindsay had her face buried in her hands as jurors reportedly heard her then husband shouting on the call, quote, "She killed the kids." She later claimed she'd been suffering from postpartum psychosis.
What did she say about what she went through?
She said she heard a man's voice telling her that if she didn't do it now, she would lose her chance.
Jurors also saw the exercise bans Lindsay used to kill her children. Her defense team laying blame on her doctors for prescribing her as many as 15 different medications.
She increased the Seroquel significantly. And then she prescribed her Valium to help taper off of the benzos.
Taper off the benzos?
Yeah.
Initially, Patrick Clancy told People magazine he forgave his wife, saying she is not a murderer, she's sick.
Did anyone ever tell you not to leave your kids alone with Lindsay?
No.
Since then, the two have divorced, and he agreed to testify against her, but some believe his testimony could help her argument.
The husband's testimony, in my opinion, goes to her defense. It shows she was a labor and delivery nurse, a mother of 3 kids. There was no history of abuse.
And Patrick Clancy is expected to return to the stand on Thursday morning. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Wildfires in southern Europe have turned deadly as blazes in multiple countries continue to displace thousands of residents and tourists as well. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos reports.
Wildfires continue to spread through southern Europe as Greek officials report 2 firefighters died on Wednesday. It comes as thousands of firefighters in France continue to battle blazes in the southwestern part of the country. More than 300,000 people have been evacuated from villages and vacation areas in France and Spain. French authorities say the largest fire in the region of Gironde did not grow overnight, but a forecast of triple-digit temperatures could bring more danger. Officials say they are prepared to keep up with the blaze.
More than 2,200 firefighters are still deployed on the ground, with what I would call institutional diversity.
And as crews work to limit damages, residents from nearby regions are also pitching in to help put out the fires.
I know very well that all the people here would do the same for us, so it's the basic thing.
Meanwhile, in Spain, the country's prime minister says rehousing efforts have begun after travel restrictions were lifted in some impacted areas. 10,000 people still remain under evacuation orders. With the focus turning to recovery efforts, some business owners are looking at the economic impact as they hope to salvage the rest of the summer season.
Economically, it's a disaster, especially during this time, as it's the peak season.
Everything is impossible, and here it's going to take us a long time to get back to doing activities.
Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Meanwhile, Ukraine is intensifying pressure on Russia as it secures more diplomatic support from the Trump administration. Today, Ukraine's president visited Washington to see how the U.S. can help. Fox's senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott has more.
Ukrainian troops escalating attacks on Russian oil refineries overnight. This past week, they also launched multiple strikes on warehouses belonging to Russia's biggest online retailer called Wildberries.
Ukraine is exceeding our expectations. And what we now need to do is for Putin to end the bloodbath and to come to the negotiating table.
It comes as Kyiv ramps up its economic and diplomatic pressure on Moscow. On Tuesday, Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky met with President Trump at the White House. In an interview with Axios, Zelensky says he asked for an emergency package of Patriot air defense interceptors to defend against attacks on energy infrastructure.
Each 3-6 months, we have to change technologies. We have to be quicker than Putin.
In a separate meeting, Zelensky told Washington lawmakers that Ukraine is making gains on the battlefield but needs more help from the U.S. That night, the Senate took its first steps towards passing a bipartisan Russian sanctions bill. It would penalize countries that continue to buy Russian oil, gas, and other exports.
This bill says to Vladimir Putin, your days of war are numbered. You are on the losing side. Better to come to the table now.
The momentum is in the Ukrainians' favor, but winter's coming on in just a few months, and there's much more to do.
This month, President Trump said he would also give Kyiv a license to produce Patriots to counter Russian attacks. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
The American Red Cross declared a national blood crisis for only the second time in its 145-year history. If you're a universal donor, it's time to roll up your sleeves because there's only a 2-day supply left. Fox's Max Gordon has more from Los Angeles.
This is really a call to action that we are now in a national blood crisis.
The American Red Cross is the country's biggest blood supplier, and they're running out of blood. For only the second time in the organization's history, they've had to declare a national emergency call for blood donors.
We are approaching less than a 2-day supply of Group O positive red blood cells.
The Red Cross says supplies have fallen short of hospital needs, resulting in a shortfall of about 39,000 donations. The cause, extreme heat across the country, has made it more difficult to hold blood drives, combined with many donors heading out of town for summer vacations. Plus, there's been an uptick in patients needing blood, which typically happens during the summer months when people are more active. And the effects are starting to be felt at hospitals across the country.
We've been notified by our blood supplier that there is a shortage of particularly Group O positive and O negative red blood cells.
But people are responding. We spoke to several donors here in LA who said they came in specifically because they heard about the shortage.
Yeah, I was super surprised to read that there was a shortage and wanted to do my small part to reduce the shortage.
However I can help somebody else, I want to do that. So, because you never know. It may be you one day that might need, some blood.
The Red Cross says that if just 3 more people showed up at each blood drive this summer, they'd be able to stabilize the supply. In Los Angeles, Max Gordon, Fox News.
Still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, we'll have more of your national headlines.
The stars of IndyCar look to chase down Alex Palou in Portland.
Palou will take the victory!
Sunday, August 9th on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
Chevy drivers across America will do a lot in the next 5 years. But one thing they won't do is pay interest on their new Chevy. Right now, get 0% financing for 5 years on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. With no payments for 90 days. Because you've earned this summer. Now it's time to go get it.
Visit your main Chevy dealers. Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
This is big fun, Bangor style. The Bangor State Fair. 10 days of summer fun for the family. With the Championship Demolition Derby. Banging it up in front of the grandstand. Friday, July 31st and Saturday, August 8th. Sponsored by Steve Smith, Trial Lawyers, and Maine Quitlink. Bangor State Fair. Presented July 30th through August 8th by Martin's. Plan your day at BangorStateFair.com.
Live from the Maine Lobster Festival in Rockland, it's the Lobster Crate Races. Watch fearless racers dash across floating lobster crates. Will they make it or take a spectacular splash? Who will stay on their feet and who will take the plunge? Don't miss the Lobster Crate Races live from the Maine Lobster Festival, Sunday, August 2nd at 2 p.m. only on Fox 22.
There was no change made in interest rates today from the Fed as the bank tries to put the brakes on persistent inflation. We go back to Fox's Caroline Elliott for that story.
The Federal Reserve keeping interest rates steady even after President Trump asked the central bank to drop rates earlier this week.
Well, I wouldn't characterize what we did as anything like a pause. I would characterize what we did as a rigorous review of the economic situation.
I know he'd love to see lower interest rates, but he's got a board, and it's a political board, and they want to keep rates up.
While it's not the relief many consumers and investors wanted, stubborn inflation is giving the Fed no other choice.
We will deliver price stability.
The inflation rate has now been stuck above the Fed's 2% target for more than 5 years.
They've been failing for a long time, and the longer that he would wait to potentially act, the more he owns it.
And prices have left consumers struggling to afford a simple trip to the grocery store.
Just spent $100 on maybe 5 things.
$200 to $300 every 2 weeks. If I go to Costco, that's an additional $500-600.
And it's hard to tell when consumers could get a break as the war with Iran drags on. The price of oil briefly shot up over $100 a barrel last week. And early Wednesday, Iran launched a surprise ballistic missile strike on American forces in Jordan.
I hope that members of the Federal Open Market Committee who are following the twists and turns in our confrontation with Iran will take into consideration that our economy is fundamentally doing very well.
And the latest data from the Fed shows consumer spending and investments are high, but we still likely won't see a drop in interest rates before 2027. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
It might be hard to believe, but many college students are getting ready to start heading back to school. And for seniors, this might be their last chance to soak up academic and people skills before moving on to start their careers. But a number of business experts say young professionals are having a hard time juggling tasks at work. Fox's Marianne Rafferty takes a closer look at tips to help them and their future employers.
As the summer wraps up, college students are getting ready for a new academic year. Many of them are looking ahead to the finish line and may be unsure of what's on the other side. That's why business experts are warning about the U.S. workforce, noting that some young professionals are struggling with the workload.
They're asked to kind of look like they have all of the answers, while at the same time learning and developing their competencies.
And that's not all. Professor Emily Blum says young workers are finding themselves having to juggle multiple tasks and make major decisions, like choosing between working on their own projects and helping the larger team. And although it can feel like a juggling act, Blum says young workers may need to get used to the idea and work on finding their balance.
So I think something that's really important to think about is that these tensions, these competing demands are just a part of the way that organizations work. You really can't just pick one thing.
Blum says the burden doesn't only fall on young workers, but employers can help out by doing their part too. Preparing newbies to make major decisions can help them become more confident workers, which can ultimately be good for business.
If you're going to expect a young team member to take a leadership role, they really need the information to make decisions.
Blum also says managers can take away some of the guesswork for new employees by communicating expectations for job performance and the reasons behind why certain decisions are made. I'm Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill addressed a number of concerns over artificial intelligence and how it will impact our daily lives. Fox's Kevin Cork has more from Washington.
Artificial intelligence was a major talking point on Capitol Hill Wednesday. The Senate Help and Aging Committees each held hearings on the technology's impact on Americans' daily lives.
There's no shortage of doom and gloom.
The Help Committee questioned business experts on AI's use in the workforce and the likelihood of the tech overtaking human jobs.
The early evidence does not yet show broad AI-driven employment loss.
Industry experts point to AI as a new tool for the workforce, disputing claims it could be a job killer, but some senators say guardrails are still needed.
These new tools, like the ones that came before, come with great power, but also great responsibility.
Meanwhile, the Senate Aging Committee sought answers on evolving AI scams, specifically those targeting the elderly.
The rise of artificial intelligence has offered scammers new tools to pursue their criminal schemes.
Banking, health, and legal experts all spoke on the subject, with some saying any type of scam is successful when it exploits the victim's trust and fear.
AI simply gives them more powerful tools to do that.
Some proposals to combat the scams include legislation, education, and using more AI detection tools.
Integrating those tools into our daily lives, much as we do with email spam filters, can help all Americans, and especially seniors, tell facts from fakes.
This comes as Fox News polling shows 45% of Americans say they have a favorable opinion towards AI, which is actually up 2% from April. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
And we'll be right back with your forecast.
Hi. You okay? Yeah, just changing up my look. I see that. I gotta lay low. See that brand new Hyundai Tucson? I only paid.
Huh. Well, you look
stunning.
Enjoy your new car.
Feels so right, it almost feels wrong. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Right now, lease a Hyundai Elantra SE for $119 a month or get $2,000 customer cash. Hurry in.
People ask me all the time, does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Imagine stepping onto your brand new deck, enjoying all the benefits of your expanded outdoor living space. Hammond Lumber Company can help turn that vision into reality. Visit any of Hammond's expansive showrooms and explore a world of possibilities. The timeless beauty of wood, the resilience of composite or affordable durable PVC. Railing options from traditional wood to sleek aluminum and contemporary cable railing. On-site consultation and delivery are available. Get started on your new deck when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Cancer affects everyone, but there is hope at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center's Champion the Cure Challenge, where every dollar raised helps patients in our own backyard. Make a difference. Walk, run, or cycle August 15th in Brewer. Visit ctcchallenge.org.
Quiz football. Release the ball. Let's get it on. It's Cash or Splash.
The Quiz with Balls, all new Mondays on Fox.
Well, we had a very nice... Tonight's weather is brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Well, taking a look at those temperatures from today. High temperatures in the upper 60s and low to mid 70s. Feeling very nice out there. However, it was a bit cooler than yesterday. Now, tomorrow is going to be even cooler. So if you like the upper 60s and low 70s, you're in luck. We will have another day of those tomorrow before warmer weather on the way, starting out with Friday and heading into this weekend. Average high right now is 81. Not going to do that tomorrow. By Friday, we're getting close, but then by Saturday, we are well into the mid 80s for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday. We're going to be back into the 80s. Not only will we be dealing with the heat, we are going to be seeing some humidity as well. We didn't feel it so much today. However, we're going to feel it once these temperatures start to go up this weekend. The humidity is also going to start to climb, and not only will it be hot, but it will be humid. Now, we also have had the chance for some dense fog these last couple of nights. Dew points, meaning the temperatures in the 60s to 50s, and even tonight, we will have the chance for some dense fog. The winds are going to go calm for a few hours tonight, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Best chance for some dense fog, so if you do have that early morning travel, make sure to be cautious through that. Bit of a breeze throughout much of the day tomorrow, lasting through much of the day on Friday. Now, we do have a couple chances for some showers and thunderstorms, not so much right now. However, it is starting to make its way into the state. Lots of clouds out there as well, and then we will be dealing with lots of rain showers and thunderstorms from a much larger system making its way through the state tonight, through much of the day tomorrow, becoming scattered tomorrow afternoon, lasting, like I said, through much of the day tomorrow, may linger into Friday, but other than that, Friday looks to stay dry, and then we will see some sunshine returning after Friday. For tonight, temperatures right about 60 degrees, a chance for a few showers and thunderstorms making their way through, with some areas of dense fog possible as well. For tomorrow, temperatures in the low 70s, which means some spots will be in the upper 60s with some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Taking a look at your extended forecast, a few showers and thunderstorms from tomorrow may linger into Friday, but the temperature is going to climb back in the upper 70s by this weekend. We are back firmly in the 80s with mid 80s both Saturday and Sunday. Lots of clouds. However, we will see some sunshine in there as well. The next chance for some showers and thunderstorms does arrive late Sunday night and into Monday. It will provide us with some much needed rainfall.
Folks, don't go anywhere. We have the latest in sports just ahead.
Whee!
And here it comes.
Chevy drivers across America will do a lot in the next 5 years. But one thing they won't do is pay interest on their new Chevy. Right now, get 0% financing for 5 years on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. With no payments for 90 days. Because you've earned this summer. Now it's time to go get it.
Visit your main Chevy dealers.
You're driving down the road and out of nowhere, boom! You're hurt in a car accident. When you call the twos, all you have to do is get better while I work to get you paid. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
Way up north in Maine, down a road less traveled, lies Golden Road Crossing. We have everything you need to gear up for epic hikes, days spent fishing, and nights under the star-filled skies. Join us at Golden Road Yacht Club for cold drinks and Maine-grown comfort food. Gather round to make new friends, share stories, and create memories to last a lifetime. Come visit us at Golden Road Crossing, your hub on Maine's legendary Golden Road.
Something stinks.
My food is good.
Are you delusional?
No, are you?
I don't want to give up. I'm here to help. We're going to start again, and we're going to rebuild this thing.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesdays on Fox, anytime on Hulu.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. The Maine Legion Senior Championship wrapped up on Wednesday evening. Let's take you over to Mansfield Stadium where all the action took place. It's the Greater Southern Maine Riders taking on the Trenton Arcadians. We will get you those highlights here at some point. The Southern Maine team actually won, though, against the Trenton. Here we go. We're back on track now. In the first inning for both teams, saw them get runners on second and third base, but no score for either squad. In the bottom of the second, that changes as Tyler Doe's hit to short outfield sends Trent Tyler around the bases and home to make it 1-0 GSM. But shortly after, in the top of the third, Trenton answers back. Dawson Curtis grounds one past first base, and Logan Crowley runs to tie it up. They then take the lead in the same inning when Hollis Grindle hits it out, and both Evan Haskell and Curtis make it home. Trenton won 3-1 to move on to Game 2, winner takes all. That game started just 30 minutes later, and it began in a similar fashion as runners were able to get onto base, as we are going to see if we can pull that second game highlight up as Trenton. There we go, second game highlight. Both runners, a great hit here to get on, but because of plays like this, Luke Horn, we enter the second inning with a 0-0 score once again. This time around, it was the Arcadians on the board first. Jackson Berry is going to help Spencer Young get home and take the 1-0 lead. The frame comes to an end, though, as Henry Marcotte lays out for the out, and it stays 1-0. The first four innings for the GSM Riders saw them come to close with no scoring, but in the bottom of the fifth, they'd rally off 5 runs to push it to a 7-2 victory in the Maine Senior Legion State Championship. One of the most picturesque and competitive 10K road races in the country is set for this coming Saturday morning down in Cape Elizabeth. The 28th annual TD Beach to Beacon 10K returns to Maine this weekend. Some of the world's top runners will be competing for more than $90,000 in prize money. This year's race beneficiary is Dirigo Reads, an organization that puts new books in the hands of first graders around the state monthly. The race founders, a Mainer and Olympic gold medalist Joan Benoit Samuelson, who says the Beach to Beacon is special in so many ways.
No, I never thought. I mean, it's 28 years old, and I'm that much older, but it gets better every year, and we never become complacent. We try to tweak it every year to make it bigger and better, and this year is no exception.
Let's go back to the Diamond. The Red Sox and their fans have had a lot of ups over the past month or so, but they've dealt with a down now as newly acquired infielder Curtis Mead broke his wrist. Mead was traded to the Sox over the weekend in exchange for left-handed pitcher Connolly Early and was expected to make an instant impact at the plate. He had 17 home runs with the Nationals so far this season, and fans hoped he'd bring that to Boston, but unfortunately in his first game with the Sox, Meade was struck by a pitch that ended up breaking his wrist. The bad news for Sox fans is there's no concrete amount of time for his recovery, with some sources even speculating that his season could be over. Well, those are just rumors. It will be a lengthy recovery. Meade spoke with the media and expressed his disappointment with the situation.
Challenging, super disappointing. It kind of doesn't feel real that it's first game, and there'll be a break in between the next one.
Meade is not expected to have surgery. A timetable is roughly, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We're right back after the break.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
They say jack of all trades, master of none. Well, they haven't met the Kia Carnival Hybrid. At its best-in-class torque, its 608 miles of total range, or its industry-leading warranty. Maybe Jack should drive a multi-purpose Kia Carnival Hybrid. Get 1.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2026 Carnival.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value season after season. With the county's 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years, 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
A homeowner asks, my basement only leaks every few years. Do I need to fix it? Yes. Basements are dry most of the time, but to use the basement, you need it dry all the time, even during storms. Moisture could weaken your foundation, ruin belongings, and create an environment where mold thrives. But our system can keep your basement dry all the time. Call us today for all things basementy.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Say sorry. Your Honor. It's not an answer. I love this job.
Judge Judy.
Weekdays at 6 on Fox 22.
A celebration of the USA's 250th year has begun its festivities. Multiple communities on the Penobscot River will hold events through Monday. Our Calvin White has more.
3 historic yachts docked in Castine today in preparation for the annual classic yacht races taking place at noon tomorrow. Along with the decades-old yachts, visitors to the town dock today were also greeted with Maine Maritime Academy's new 525-foot-long training ship, the State of Maine. This is all a part of a celebration of the United States' 250th birthday, happening across multiple towns and cities up and down the Penobscot River, with events in Searsport, Castine, Bucksport, Bangor, and Brewer. On Friday, the Harvey Gamage is offering a sailing tour of the Penobscot, going from Bucksport to Bangor, then back to Bucksport.
It's unique. You can actually get on the vessel and do a tour up and down the river.
The events, put on by Freedom 250 and the Penobscot Maritime Heritage Association, are centered around the Penobscot River. Bill Sturrock says that the Penobscot was a big part of the community's history 250 years ago.
The town of Bucksport has a long history going back to the Revolutionary times of seafaring activity, both peaceful with fishing and moving passengers and moving goods, but also during wartime.
Owner and manager of the Breeze and Castine variety, Kermit Peasley, says that events like this one help businesses in the towns hosting them reach new customers and stay afloat.
Anything that we can do is worth the while, on building up this economy here in town. Because since 2010, it had been taking a precipitous fall. There is a lot of events, and it's going in the right direction.
The celebration's itinerary is full across the weekend in each town. Drone shows are scheduled for Saturday in Bucksport and Sunday in Bangor at 8:45 p.m. each. For a full list of events, visit fourportloop.me. In Castine, Calvin White, ABC7, Fox 22 News.
Wednesday marked the first day of one of Maine's oldest and most iconic events. Our Sam Miller was on scene and says excitement is in the air.
With an introduction and statue unveiling from King Neptune and his court, the city of Rockland kicked off its 79th annual Lobster Festival.
There he is!
Taking place every year during the first weekend of August, the nonprofit festival features fun activities for all ages. Attendees can chow down on fresh seafood, engage with vendors, and enjoy live entertainment, all while overlooking Maine's beautiful mid-coast. The festival started out as an idea for a local marine event to revive coastal Maine communities, and has since grown into an internationally recognized celebration for local seafood, with over 20,000 lobsters cooked and served every year. Festival President Celia Knight has been working the event from a young age, and expressed how much it means to see how much it's grown.
To me personally, it's like Christmas morning to me right now. I'm so excited and I love the festival so much. I've been literally doing volunteering down here since I was 2.5 years old.
The festival is run exclusively by volunteers, with almost 900 signed up for this year's event. Whether they're Rockland locals or from across the globe, they're eager to help out in any way they can.
It's awesome. I mean, it's kind of why we do what we do. It's a great way to showcase this little piece of Maine that we love so much, and to show off our most famous crustacean.
Growing up on the mid-coast, I've attended the Lobster Festival since I was a kid, and after nearly 80 years, it still retains the same exciting and enjoyable charm. In Rockland, Sam Miller, ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
And finally tonight, one of the most beloved parts of the Rockland Lobster Festival is the annual running of the crate races, and if you've never seen it, it is quite the athletic feat. It combines endurance and balance as contestants try to quickly maneuver over these submerged crates to reach the other side. Some of them make it look easy. I can assure you it is not. Now, contestants rack up points by how many crates they're able to traverse running back and forth. There are multiple divisions for competitors, both young and adult. You can register for the races in person on the festival grounds. And by the way, ABC7 and Fox 22 will be broadcasting the races on Sunday live starting at 2 p.m. Join us for this highly unique and iconic main event. That guy seems to have figured out the secret. I'll have to ask him. Alrighty, folks, well, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
Big bucks. Big dreams. No whammies. I said no whammies.
Press your luck Thursday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Coleman Domingo guest host Jimmy Kimmel Live with Marlon Wayans and De'Ara Kilpatrick tonight on
This is ABC 7 News at 11.